Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the Jeffrey Epstein bill. President Trump has now signed it. It comes following the near-unanimous vote in Congress. Tonight, Republican senators say all of this shouldn't take long, but tonight our Pierre Thomas asking the U.S. Attorney General Bondi if all of the files will be made public and how she answered. Also tonight, the Justice Department's case against James Comey, what President Trump's handpicked U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, who has never tried a criminal case, admitted to the judge today. Is this case now in jeopardy? Tonight, the federal terrorism charges, the horrific attack at a commuter train, the suspect seen on surveillance allegedly setting a woman on fire in Chicago. We do have news on her condition tonight. The ceiling, that teenager found dead on a cruise ship. A source now says her body was found under a bed, wrapped in a blanket and under a life vest. Is one of her step-siblings under scrutiny? Tonight, the U.S. military build-off off Venezuela. Tonight, newly released images of U.S. Marines conducting training missions, including live-fire exercises. What is the president now planning? And our team off Venezuela tonight, what is the president now planning? The war in Ukraine tonight, Russia launching a brutal new attack on Ukraine, one of the deadliest this year. And it all comes as a new U.S. peace proposal has been presented to Ukraine. Some say this proposal heavily favors Russia. Ian Pinnell standing by amid this new U.S. peace proposal offers to Ukraine. Does it heavily favor Russia? Back in the U.S. tonight, the brazen robbery. Police say the suspect armed with an AR-15 style rifle in the middle of a busy casino. At the Rampart Casino, the suspect leaving with an undisclosed amount of cash. Tonight, the urgent search for a college professor, last seen on Peaks Island in southern Maine. Wiley Davey is a professor at Bentley College in Massachusetts. Authorities are now using search dogs combing trails and wooded areas. Residents have been told to stay off the trails while this search is underway. Tonight, the TSA is now proposing a new rule to charge passengers who don't have a real ID or a passport. Those passengers would pay $18 and have their identity verified itself. The verification will be good for 10 days. It's not clear when the new rule would go into effect. The interstellar comet getting closer to Earth, only the third time this has ever happened. The Miss Universe pageant contestant who fell on stage rushed off on a stretcher. We have news on how she's doing, and a possible new fee at the airport. Will some passengers going through TSA security at the airport soon have to pay $18? What this proposal is all about. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening. We do begin tonight with the breaking news. We have just learned the bill demanding the release of the full Jeffrey Epstein files has now been sent. The White House and the president has now signed it. It comes 24 hours after that near unanimous passage in Congress. The question tonight, how long does the Justice Department now have to get the files out now that the president has signed the bill? And tonight here, our Pierre Thomas asking the Attorney General Bondi, will all of the files be released? And how she answered today, making headlines tonight. Pierre Thomas leading us off tonight. The bill demanding that the Justice Department release the Epstein files is now law. The president signing it some 24 hours after it was overwhelmingly approved by Congress, something he said he would do.
Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us.
The Justice Department now has 30 days to make the files public. Tonight, some Republican senators saying it shouldn't take that long.
There shouldn't be a new issue, so they should be ready to go. I hope they release them immediately.
But even though the issue has been brewing for weeks with pressure mounting today, Attorney General Bondi would not explain how the process will play out and what, if anything, will be released.
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
I press the AG on whether that means the full files will come out. When you say obey the law of the Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. We will continue to follow the law. The law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Lawmakers on both sides watching these next steps very closely.
There must be no funny business from Donald Trump. This is not an invitation for Donald Trump to pick and choose his version of the truth.
President Trump didn't need Congress to get the Epstein files out. He could have just ordered Barley to do it on his own. Instead, in recent days, he instructed the Attorney General to launch a new investigation into Epstein's ties to Democrats. Critics call that an effort to deflect from the president's own association with Epstein, noting Barley herself had closed the books on the Epstein case earlier this year. At the time, she said the department had not uncovered evidence that could lead him to investigate anyone else. Today, I asked her what had changed.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come from information. There's information.
The information that...
New information. Additional information.
The Attorney General would not say what the new information was. So, David, we don't know if the new investigations will lead to a delay in the release of the Epstein files. Critics warn it could be an effort to stall, but those victims who we saw on Capitol Hill who were there to witness Congress-backed are demanding justice and total transparency, David. Peter Thomas leading us off here tonight. Peter, thank you. Tonight is the Justice Department's case against James Comey in jeopardy this evening. President Trump's handpicked U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, who has never tried a criminal case before, and what she acknowledged to the judge today, it shocked many in the courtroom. James Comey and his family in court began whispering. And the question now, where does this case go from here? Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky.
Tonight, the criminal case against former FBI Director James Comey is in serious doubt after a stunning admission in court by President Trump's handpicked prosecutor. Lindsay Halligan has never tried a criminal case. Today, the judge put her on the spot, and she admitted she did not show the full grand jury the final version of the indictment before the four-person signed it. The disclosure shocked the courtroom into silence. Comey and his family began whispering, and his attorney called for the case to be thrown out. Trump installed Halligan after he forced out her predecessor, who determined there was not enough evidence to charge Comey. Sources told ABC News career prosecutors documented the conclusion in a memo. Today, when the judge asked about that memo, Halligan's partner said Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche ordered him not to discuss it.
I stand by what the testimony you summarized.
Comey is pleaded not guilty to charges he misled the Senate Judiciary Committee when he denied authorizing leaks to the press.
I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent, so let's have a trial.
Comey's attorneys seizing on that post in court, arguing the case is vindictive.
It is effectively a political prosecution.
But today, prosecutors insisted Halligan brought the case on her own, telling the judge Ms. Halligan was not a puppet. The judge is now weighing the actions of this prosecutor who lacks criminal experience and who acknowledged she never showed the full grand jury the final copy of the indictment. There are more written arguments to come, but tonight, David, the case against James Comey seems to be hanging by a thread. David.
Our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, tonight. Aaron, thank you. This evening, federal terrorism charges after a horrific attack at a commuter train in Chicago. Prosecutors say the suspect seen on surveillance allegedly setting a woman on fire in Chicago. Tonight here, we do have news on her condition, and here's ABC's Rena Alley.
Tonight, the man seen in these surveillance images allegedly setting a woman on fire on a commuter train is facing federal terrorism charges. The woman, who is a 26-year-old woman, was deliberately set on fire by Lawrence Reed in an unprovoked attack. According to a criminal complaint and train surveillance on the night of November 17th, 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, holding a small bottle, approaches the woman behind, where he took the cap off the bottle and poured a liquid on the bottle all over the victim's head and body. Prosecutors say he lit the bottle and used it to light her on fire. When the train stopped and the victim was able to muster the strength to stumble on the platform, two Good Samaritans put out the flames. Reed was captured about 12 hours later. Surveillance images from a gas station allegedly show Reed filling a bottle with gasoline before the attack. David Reed faces life if convicted. That rider still has critical injuries. Prosecutors are now asking for prayers. David.
Rihanna Alley reporting tonight. Rianne, thank you. Now to the case of the 18-year-old girl found dead on board a Carnival cruise ship sailing from Miami to the Caribbean. Tonight, a source now says her body was discovered under a bed, wrapped in a blanket and under a life vest. And the court filing that suggests one of her step-siblings could be under scrutiny. Here's Victor Oquendo.
You can find the story of the death of the 18-year-old Nan who was found on board the Carnival cruise ship. A security source briefed on the investigation tells ABC News Central Florida cheerleader Aneka Kapner was discovered under a bed, wrapped in a blanket, and covered by a life vest. The cause of death not yet released. Kapner's stepmother now calling her child a suspect in the teen's death, according to a new filing in an unrelated family court dispute, saying it is true there is an open investigation regarding the death. Tonight, that security source identifying the child as the stepmother. Kapner was on the Caribbean cruise with her father, stepmother, and two younger step-siblings earlier this month. The grisly discovery made before the boat redocked in Miami. Investigators now poring over the ship's security records, camera footage, and access cards. Tonight, the FBI declining to comment. David, investigators are waiting for the full toxicology and autopsy report. Cruise Line says they are fully cooperating with the Miami office of the FBI in the investigation. David?
All right, Victor Oquendo reporting from Miami tonight. Victor, thanks. We move on now to the U.S. military build-off off Venezuela. Tonight, newly released images of U.S. Marines conducting training missions, including live-fire exercises. What is the president now planning? And ABC's Matt Rivers off Venezuela for us again tonight.
New images tonight showing U.S. Marines training here in Trinidad and Tobago. Multiple Osprey aircraft carrying out joint exercises with the local military as the U.S. ramps up pressure on Venezuela. For weeks, Marines from the same unit conducting live fire training operations across the Caribbean. Harrier fighter jets bombing targets. It comes as the New York Times reports President Trump signed off on additional covert CIA operations inside Venezuela that could lay the groundwork for a bigger military campaign, citing multiple people briefed on the matter. The president saying this week